Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's show. I am your show host, SHETAN NOIR, and this is High Strangeness in the Liminal Abyss. So, my curious ones, with it being the new year, what have your New Year's resolutions been? And are you going to keep them? One of my New Year's resolutions is to explore more in this wonderful, exciting world of ours by doing more paranormal investigations. I don't really like to call them ghost hunts because if a location is haunted, you can probably have some type of experience or activity that you will encounter. So, Bigfoot, I would say more of a Bigfoot hunt or a Squatch hunt because you're actually going out looking for them without the promise of ever finding them. I guess that's the difference between investigating and hunting. Investigating, there's been claims at a location that a paranormal experience or encounter or entity inhabits that area, that location. And if you're there for the whole evening, you can expect to at least experience something. Whereas a hunt, you are going out into a area that there's no parameters, which we often encounter with woods, with lakes, streams, rivers, forests, mountains. There's no parameters of where exactly the species that you're hunting is. So you have to track them on their terms. And if you're lucky enough to either be better at hunting than they are hiding, or they are worse at hiding than you are hunting, from both perspectives there, you might get a chance glimpse, but there's probably a high probability that you won't have your camera ready or whatever you're recording with ready. Whereas when we're doing paranormal investigating, that's kind of what you do in a location. You sit with either a recording device on and your equipment on, and you sit and you wait for something to come looking for you to interact with. And one of my New Year's resolutions and rules for investigating is that from now on, before I even get out of the car, before I even walk into the location, I'm turning on all of my recording equipment and having it on with, on my person, whether it's a USB recording device that you can just plug right into your laptop. They're out there on the market. Look for them. They are just a USB thumb drive, and it has a on and off switch. And depending on how many gigabytes you get, is how many hours of recording you can get on it. So I think the 16 gigabyte gives you, I want to say, like 40 hours of recording, if not more. Um, the only problem is at different periods of the night, like I would say with the like in hourly interviews, quickly turn it off and then turn it back on, because otherwise you're going to be sitting there listening to 8-10 hours straight of audio, um, which you can upload onto your computer and check each, set up, okay, I'm going to listen to it at an hour at a time. But I think either method would work. But from now on, one of my rules of thumb is going to be always be recording before you even walk into the location, before you even step, that first foot through the threshold. Because my experience is that when you first enter the location, before you have any devices up and running, that's when you experiencing stuff. And if you get all that at the very beginning and the spirits have no other reason to interact with you, you might sit there for the rest of the night and not have anything happen. So that's going to be a very important rule that I set for myself. And anybody that I investigate with is have our equipment up and running before we walk in the door. And that way, hopefully, we can catch more evidence and more interactions and have more to investigate and to show as evidence in the future. Now, with the cryptozoology aspects, it's likely that you could sit in one location viewing a large expanse of area, whether it's woods, mountains, a lake, whatever, and you could sit there the whole day and never see anything. And the reason is the difference between having interactions and experiences with the paranormal and interactions and experiences with cryptozoology is, for the most part, ghosts as being a former human, or even sometimes a, maybe a animal, a pet that, is deceased and roams the haunted location. They want to interact with humans. They want to have their lives acknowledged. And that's why I think we get a lot of interactions with the paranormal. Now, this doesn't apply to the negative spirits, whether we want to call them demons or non-human entities. This doesn't apply to them. If they're interacting with you, they're doing it because they want to scare you, hurt you, intimidate you in some way. But the human spirits, good or bad, they're interacting with you because they recognize you as another human being. And there is the potential for communication there. Whereas with cryptozoology, unless the animal that you are investigating is a predator, dogman, lake monsters of some kinds, wendigos, things like that, generally the cryptids that we're looking for are knowledgeable of humans, but that was just my mastiff knocking into my recording device. Um, Generally, those cryptids, they know of human beings, but they don't really want to interact with human beings. Whether it's they see us as a threat, because hunters are, human beings. They carry weapons, guns, crossbows, bow and arrows, what have you, knives, fishing rods, dynamite, whatever, into the woods, into the lakes, and their goal is to kill something. And if you are a animal of any kind and you see humans coming, well, it's better to run and hide or escape the area when you detect human presence than to wait around and see, oh, is this human just taking pictures or are they just walking? Do they have a gun? Those are things that it's better from the animal standpoint to run and hide than to stand and watch and see. Unless you're very good at camouflaging and evading detection by that means. So if you can hide in your natural surroundings from the human beings, then you might stick around and see what kind of behavior the human is showing. Are they a threat or a non-threat? And that could possibly be the reason why you don't see very many interactions unless the human goes from being very visible to being very camouflaged and hidden, and the species don't know if the human left the area or cannot detect them. And then you possibly have the chance of viewing them, recording them, interacting with them. But then there's the whole aspect of we don't know with the cryptids what they can pick up on. So there's been a recent report coming out that a lot of dogs are having negative experiences with these smart plugs for electrical outlets that people are putting in. Those emit a high frequency that we as humans may or may not pick up on, depends on how sensitive you are to those vibrations. But dogs and cats, birds, reptiles especially, do pick up on those and start displaying very anxious, very nervous behaviors. Um, get so agitated that they won't even eat because of this. And as we're going out into the field, depending on what type of devices we take with us, our devices themselves might be revealing our locations to these cryptid creatures. Because if they are emitting a high frequency vibration, then they can easily pick up on that. And this is the reason why we think that the game trail cameras, doesn't matter if they're the brand new versions or the old versions, anything in between, whatever it is about them, whether it's the smell of the petroleum products in the plastics on the game trail cameras or the clicking sound it makes when it takes a picture. Because if you notice with most game trail cameras, the first picture will be of the animal looking down or looking away, but then as soon as it makes the clicking sounds, you're getting, you know, a straight on look from the animal because they hear the clicking and they're looking up to see where it's coming from. Usually they will pause and freeze to detect where that sound came from, and then they will flee the area. We also don't know how the camera mechanism, whether it has a flash, if it's the RD light, infrared light, whatever. We don't know if when that goes off, for simple animals like, let's say, raccoons, possums, deer, squirrels, chipmunks, when those camera flashes are going off, are the bigger predators, like your Bigfoots, your Dogman, what have you, are those flashes of that camera a beacon in the night for those species to be aware of and suddenly realize there's something over there that might be human or human related and might be something that is threatening for us. So these are just things that I take into account when I am doing a paranormal investigation or a cryptid investigation, field investigation, of how to either maximize my input in the situation or minimize my input in the situations. But what are your thoughts? What have your experiences been? And until next week, write out those New Year's resolutions and we'll see how it goes. But go out there and explore this world and stay curious out there. And until next week, bye.